Hey, hi guys, Unduka here again, and today I have another interesting topic. I only come out to talk about topics that you, my followers, send me a DM on. And somebody asked me a very important question today. He was like, will African stores accept my product? I looked at it, I was like, wow, that's a very smart question. So again, keep sending me messages, sending me DMs, asking all these questions, because again, I want to help you. I want to show you, the things that is bothering your mind. What I do is simple. Help you to get your products ready so that you can find buyers in the USA and beyond. So let's look at the question. It says, will African stores accept my product? And again, we're going to be talking about food products, then maybe some cosmetics. I think I have a couple of cosmetic products here, right? So these are all various cosmetic products. Now, some of these products are made locally here in Nigeria. So this is a very popular brand of African smoked fish. I got this from ShopRite. And these are other products. These are directly from the US. So obviously they meet all the requirements to be sold in the US. This is also from the US. Now this is Nigerian, and then this is from the USA. So let's compare the two of them. When you say remember, a lot of us, when we think about African stores, we do not realize, we think that, because we sell the product locally to stores here, and because we are selling it to people like us, Africans like us, that any product is going to be acceptable. It doesn't work that way. Remember, these African stores are in the USA. They have laws. They have the FDA regulating them. So their products must meet those requirements. It's not just Africans that go to those stores. You have a lot of whites, a lot of Asians, a lot of Japanese, a lot of Koreans that also visit some of these African stores once in a while. So they must meet the requirement of the US. So let's take a look at two of them and compare. And I'm going to bring out some of the key things that why some of your products may not be acceptable. And there's one of our customers that is doing very well now, moved from zero to almost $60,000 in about 4 months, selling just an everyday item. And why was she successful? And she's selling this product in just about 4 stores. She was successful because when she came to us, she followed our complete system. I talk about that system all the time, what I call the PSS system. This is the system that over the years we have seen works for anybody trying to go into export. If you can follow this system, look, you're going to make it big, you're going to make it massive. So that is it. So let's take a look at these two products. So obviously, US FDA, I'm going to give you some of their rules. So one of the main rules when you are naming the product, there is what they call generally accepted name for a product. And I'm giving you US FDA rules here. Generally accepted name. So if you look at this product, this is cocoa, or they call it cacao, but we know what that is, right? That is a common name. The common name is necessary so that people easily know what it is. Now, this is what? Smoked African catfish. And they have it here, steak. Right? You're going to have problems when you try to export this to the USA. Why? Because one, you have steak. What is steak? Steak is like beef. So what does that mean? From Nigeria, you can't export beef into the USA, any type of food, because again, why? Because you have the FDA rules. Nigerian beef, today the cattle is in Sokoto, tomorrow it's in Calabar. So if there is an issue, where do they trace where that cattle is so that they can stop the issue? And some of you will know about the FDA Food Facility Registration Program. That's why you have it, right? So even the word catfish is a huge red flag. I know a lot of you export catfish to the USA. My advice to you is just put dried fish. Remove the catfish. It's a complex reason. Look, a lot of US farmers are into catfish production, right? And the US Department of Agriculture, it is their role to prevent, to make sure that, they don't have too much competition from abroad. anytime you put catfish on your fish coming into the USA, it could raise a lot of red flag. I know a lot of you go through, you're probably not doing commercial quantity. But when you try and say, hey, I want to export a whole container, and you label that container catfish, oh my God, agencies are going to start swarming around that container. So don't make that mistake, right? So that's one, so the naming, you have to be sure that the naming will first of all allow it to get into the USA. Now, the second thing that we're going to talk about when you look at these things, and I'm talking about the US FDA rule, I'm just going to give you some FDA rules because I can't treat all the rules in this 10-15 minutes video. Now, the second rule, obviously, you have the nutritional facts. So they have it here, they have it here, right? So again, these guys have done well, but there's a little issue that I see here, right, in terms of how they describe the serving. I'm not going to talk deep into that, but it could be perfected. But again, there are some key things that the US FDA want to see on your product. One is the ingredient listing, right? Now, let's take a look at this product. If I take a look inside it, does the fish have some other things that are part of the ingredient? So if you take a look at this, look at the ingredient listing, right? It will tell you everything. It will say organic cacao, every single thing that is in it, right? It's always there, right? Do they have the listing of everything that is in here? Yeah, I think if it's just catfish, then fine, if it is. But again, if they test it and they discover that maybe it is spiced catfish, right? So because a lot of catfish producers will first of all spice their catfish, then it becomes another issue, right? Another one that I don't see here that may be an issue is what we call the allergen listing. A lot of people are allergic to certain things. You have people that if they take peanuts, right, it becomes a problem to them. Their face will swell up and all sorts of things. So it also needs to have that. I'm not going to go too deep into the FDA rules. Why? Because I have an event coming up soon where we're going to go a little deeper into all those things. But again, you need to know these things. It's not, what works in Nigeria, what works in Ghana, what works in South Africa, what works in Uganda, what works in Kenya, will not necessarily work in the USA. And it's not just about the listing, it's not just about the FDA rules. You also have to look at the packaging. Does the packaging work, right? So this is also another similar product. You can see here, they have another way for displaying the food nutritional labels. In this one, you have it vertical. In this one, they have it horizontal, and there are various acceptable ways. I think the FDA has a couple of ways, maybe about 9 or 10 different ways, depending on the configuration of your packaging that you can use to label it. So all those things are there. And then, like I said, you always have the various nutritional labels. The serving size per pack is also very important. That is actually one area when the FDA is really, there were a lot of issues before. You have somebody, a company that will say, how will I describe it now? Because calories, the Americans are very cautious about calories, right? So you have somebody who will put that the number of calories in this pack, for example, is 100 calories. But when you read closely, it will tell you that 100 calories is when you eat maybe 5 seeds of this thing. Some ridiculous figure like that. So people come, they see 100 calories written in bold, but at the end of the day, they don't see that it refers to only 5 seeds. So for example, this one says about 33 servings per container. Serving size is 1 ounce. So what does that mean? It means that the calorie that is listed here as 170 is when you take the content of this and you divide it into 33 portions. That one portion has 170 calories in them. And those are things that we also need to make sure we have correct in our labels for products that we want to send to the USA. Now for cosmetics, almost the same. I'm not going to talk deep into that, right? And we need to know all these rules because we have I see so many companies running into issues when they are trying to export items. And that's why you have people like the NAFDAC DG saying that over 70% of Nigerian foods are being held on entry to the USA. So these things are very important, very vital. Make sure you know the rules before you go. So will African stores accept your product? They typically will not if it doesn't meet all those rules, because again, remember, they are selling it there. And that's why a lot of you have challenges. You send products, you send it to them. You know, it's not in their duty to start telling you, oh, you missed the FDA labeling requirement here. Your calorie labels are wrong. It's not in their rule. They will only tell you yes or no. And again, they don't want to have to be dealing with FDA officials coming to inspect them and things like that, right? So get it right.